Hey guys, it's Will here. Just thought I'd go through my weight training routine. I think weights are good to do for anybody. It doesn't matter, not even if you're not bodybuilding, but just as you're older and you want some, keeps your bone density and keeps you fit and strong. So I think it's good for everybody. But I used to do a push-pull legs twice a week, so it was 6 days a week, and that was pretty tiring. And the isolation exercises kind of hurt my elbow. So I'm doing more of a full body compound movements mostly now. So I thought I would go through that here. Um, but I'll just show you a couple pictures. Hopefully you can see shoulders doing well, and a little bit of traps here. And also, my chest and my back have really felt thicker, and my shirts are getting tight. And Bonnie noticed the muscle, so that feels good. I'm definitely making progress. Here's a picture that my neighbor recently posted, just showing me before. I was vegetarian actually, and I was pretty heavy. Bonnie was a little bit heavier, but I gained a lot of weight, and you hopefully can see that. So it's nice to see the how much better I feel now doing plant-based diet for 5 years now. So you have essentially a Monday, Wednesday, Friday full body routine, and then the other days you can rest or do cardio. Now there's different feelings about cardio. If you're trying to build muscle, how much cardio do you want to do? But it could be from taking a walk or riding a bike to full-blown intensive, running and stuff. But personally, I'm not a big cardio fan, and lately I'm just riding my death cycle, which is low intensity, when I'm on the couch and stuff like that. But I've seen people doing weights and doing quite a bit of cardio too, so um, it's up to you. And then as far as taking an extra day, if you're sore, like sometimes on Wednesday, if I do something on Monday, I might be really really tired and sore, so I might take an extra day. And that might be if I did something really heavy that day or something new that sort of changed the angle on my muscles or something. And it's hard to say exactly when you should work out again, but I sort of try to sense of how tired or how sore I am, especially my lats and my back and stuff like that sometimes. The nice thing with the full body routine is you do your whole body in one day, and you give your full body and your brain, your central nervous system a chance to rest. Because when I was doing other routines, I would work out every day, and I just like, even though your chest is sore, it affects what you do with your back. Everything's connected. So I like the idea of a full body routine because your body works as a whole usually. And I'm doing compound movements, so multiple muscles are involved. And that just prevents overloading one particular muscle, which is what I had with the tricep extensions that I think really hurt my elbow, which I still have an issue with right now. People always ask in sets and reps. Now, you have to consider the volume is the weight that you lift times the number of sets and the reps that you do. And that's for, say, a full week. So you're comparing volume not just on one day to another routine, but over the week, what you can get in. So this is a 3 times a week routine. So you get more days in of the same muscle group than you would if you did a split like upper lower or depending on how many times a week you do it. But push pull split is usually twice a week for the same body part. Lately I've tried to do a little bit more volume in a day, like as far as sets of one exercise, because I wanted to push it a bit more and feel like I was really fatiguing the muscle. So I've been trying to sense when I feel like the muscle's really fatigued rather than just sticking to numbers. And so the other couple weeks ago, I think it was, I started doing a bit more sets of a particular exercise just to see what I could do with that. The reps are vary from low, so you can do like a periodization they call it, where sometimes you do lower reps and sometimes you do intermediate or high reps. So that would be a heavy day where you're doing weighted chin-ups eventually, depending on your level. It's a heavy day for you, weighted chin-ups, a heavy bench with as heavy dumbbells as you can. You might only get 5 reps or something, 3 to 5 or whatever reps. And then a regular day, shoot for 8 to 12, and you don't go as heavy. Maybe you don't do weighted dips or weighted chin-ups, but you just use your body weight or something, depending on where you're at with your reps, how many you can do. And then a body weight day I'm just calling this maybe a lighter day, but higher reps would be push-ups. Like push-ups for me are pretty easy. So, or ring push-ups. And so, or you might do pull-ups with a band and you try to get higher reps. And that's just to vary the range of reps that you're getting. And you get more of a pump sometimes with higher reps, or maybe your body needs higher reps to stimulate growth, or maybe you need lower reps and heavier weight to stimulate growth. If you're so that's the question. So when you do some variability here, you kind of hit all the angles that might help you. I'm just giving you my knowledge at this point in time, and hopefully it helps you with your workouts as well. So here's what I would do for my chest at this point. I would do a flat or incline dumbbell press, bench press, or I would do flat or decline push-ups. So if you get really good at push-ups, you can start to do things to make it harder. Put your hands closer together. More for your triceps, you could do decline where you put your feet up on a bench or something. Ring push-ups are also tricky if you haven't done those. Those are the gymnastic rings, and you can stick your palms out, or you can cross them over your chest and things like that. And because of the instability of the rings, it can really challenge your chest more. I'm trying to show you the main compound movements that I do, because I'm not doing a lot of the smaller isolation type stuff. For shoulders, I generally do this after the chest. Your front delts will get exercise a lot with the incline or the flat bench or push-ups. Your front delts, so you want to try to get your rear or lateral, your side delts. But overhead press is the big compound movement. That's what I try to focus on, building up more dumbbell strength. And lately, occasionally I'll do some lateral raises and rear delts where you bend over. And that is somewhat of an isolation movement, but it gets access to those. So there's a few things I will do isolations for, but for the most part, I'm focusing on the big ones. So these are secondary and based on how I feel, but lately I've done a little bit of this as well. For the back, I'm doing chin-ups, and that can be with bands, which help you take some of the weight off if you're just getting started. Or you can do your body weight, or you could do weighted. So when I do weighted, at this point, I do a lot fewer reps, like 3 to 5 reps or something. That's where I showed last time the variability in the rep range for certain days. Another one for back is bent over rows. So you just bend over at the hip and you use dumbbells. In my case, I use dumbbells, and but I'm mostly trying to do move my body weight through space with chin-ups. The other thing I did recently was muscle-up progressions. That's a little more straight arm strength, so not as much like a chin-up, but a little bit more where you're not as close to the bar when you're pulling yourself up, and you're trying to use a little more of your scapular strength, straight arm strength, and then at the top you do like a dip where you get up right over top of the bar. So this is just a little bit of fun. I use rings as well for the muscle up, but it's a fun thing. It breaks it up sometimes. And so instead of doing the chin up thing, I'll do the muscle up stuff, and I'll do that until I feel really fatigued in my muscles. And you can try to do a muscle up with the bands on the pull up bar, or you could use rings as well. And there's a whole series of exercises to do it on the rings. And sometimes I will do curls as isolation. This is another one that I'll do rare. I'm not going to do much tricep isolation right now because I have an issue with my elbow. I don't really want to aggravate it. But I'm trying to emphasize in this video full body and compound movement. So that's your triceps will get exercised when you're doing bench press and push-ups and stuff like that. Now my legs, like I said here, they're fairly big naturally. I played soccer. I've got kind of fast twitch fiber, pretty big legs, quads and stuff. And I don't want to get huge legs, to be honest. Now I know a lot of guys, they make fun of people that don't do legs, but my legs are pretty big, and I don't want to get big jeans I don't want to build those up. And what I'm doing now is mostly glute work because I sit a lot. So what I'm doing sometimes, I'll do one of these is body weight or dumbbell squats. So I'll just do squats with my body weight, or I'll hold on to dumbbells. I was doing at one point dumbbell deadlifts, which you're not going to go as heavy as barbells, but that was an interesting exercise. And then lunges, single leg lunges. There's different types of lunges you can do with weights as well. You can hold on to weights, dumbbells. But for the most part, lately I've been doing glute bridges where you lie on your back and you lift yourself up and off your butt, and you can put a weight on your stomach or something. And different types of glute work to really get my glutes firing. And that's just my own personal goal, is to build my glute a bit and strengthen those. I had a problem for about 10 years. I had glute pain, like, which I thought was lower back pain, and I want to build that up. My left leg, my left is a little bit weaker. So, but if you want to do, deadlifts and squats like in the gym with barbells, that's probably a good idea. But this is just my own personal routine. And then calf raises. I do have a bit of a Achilles heel issue on my left foot from when I was doing these. I was stupid. I was trying to do these sprints on the incline treadmill quite a while ago, and I did something, and I'm still suffering for it. And so calf raises are part of the rehabilitation to try to strengthen the calves so that it hopefully improves the Achilles tendonitis. But it hasn't had a big effect right now, but that's something you might want to look at as well for your legs. So the goals and benefits of the full body that I mentioned before was full day of rest, at least, to give your body your central nervous system a rest too, not just your muscles. And the fact that the muscles are all kind of linked together. Like if you're using your arms for chest, it's also used when you're doing back exercises. It's got similar volume to push-pull legs 6-day splits, actually. So when people think you're not going to get enough exercise, you can sort of compare volumes because you're getting that 3 days a week of the same body part. The goal is progressive overload. Like, so if you're stagnant, it's usually because you're not increasing the weight that you're lifting. So if you keep changing things or you take breaks, you don't work out enough, you're going to lose the gains that you made. And the goal is to increase the weight. So by keeping a certain amount of standard exercises that are compound, you can sort of trace if you're able to lift more. So overhead press or chin-ups, if you can do weighted chin-ups eventually and increase the weight. If you can do weighted dips and increase the weight. If you can do whatever exercise they are, if you're increasing the weight or the difficulty, that's a good sign. You don't have to make progress every single workout, and another goal, like I said, is consistency. So it's slow. The gains are slow and take time. So you want to be patient. And this is what I say about weight loss as well. You got to do it and stick to it. I've talked to people who did weights and they were running a lot. They weren't working out. It's just a whole bunch of things that are not conducive to making gains. And they were wondering if they should take a protein powder and stuff. And they weren't even doing the workouts like 2-3 times a week consistently. So that's a big one. Goals are, you can try to gain muscle without gaining too much fat. So don't crank up the food too much, but just keep an eye on your physique and see what's happening. It's great to maintain muscle as we age, and it helps burn fat as well, bone density, like I mentioned. If you have loose skin, that's another benefit. If you lose weight and you have some loose skin, especially if you're older, the muscle can sort of fill in that a bit and help with that look if you're without having to do surgery and stuff like that. And the other benefit is to be an inspiration to others and show that the plant-based people can grow muscle. There's a lot of misconceptions about vegan diets and stuff. So I don't know, just got to give you a few little helpful tips here that I've seen from other people as well. I don't always do this, but try to do a warm-up, 5-minute warm-up. It can be just doing little body weight squats or jogging in place or skipping rope, riding a little cycle, like a stationary bike, burpees or something like that. Just try to get your blood flowing. I've seen people talk about listening to music that energizes you, whatever you happen to like. I like rock and metal, but as far as getting me energized, that would be beneficial. I don't usually listen to music, but it's something that I've seen people mention can really be helpful. Try to feel the muscles. That's kind of the muscle memory thing whenever you're doing an exercise. Like I was doing bodyweight squats at first and I could feel my quads burning before anything else. And I was trying to focus on using and squeezing my glutes. If you go heavy with weight, sometimes you won't feel the muscle because it's too heavy for you and you might have bad form, or things aren't quite focused on that muscle as they should be. If you're swinging a lot, you're using momentum, so try to lighten the weight and really focus on that muscle. Don't just focus on the reps. I talked about a rep range, but I've been lately, because the reps, if you think you got to get 10 or 12 reps, or you got to do another rep than you did last time, you can start to do partial reps or cheats and things and use momentum. And so try to use good form and focus on, even if you have to do an extra set, is just to get that fatigue in the muscle. So I did things, there was one point where I said I'm going to get 50 reps no matter how many sets, so I didn't force it to be in the 3 sets, and even if I had to do an extra set of 5 reps or something like that, I was just shooting for a certain number of reps. So that's an idea you could use if you, even if you set a number, is just to say I'll do it, I'll do that many reps in as many sets as I need, because that way you're not going to be cheating and totally obsessed with the number of reps. Another point is to record your workout. So I've got this, I've had different things. I ran out, but I got this little notepad, and it's a great idea because you often can't remember what you did, what exercises, how many weights, how many reps. It's really important that even if you do the same number of sets, that maybe you get an extra rep over time, or you increase the weight. And so if you're not keeping track, it's really going to be hard to know if you're making progress. So yeah, eat enough calories. And like I said, I don't really track the calories, but you usually get hungrier if you start working out a bit more. But protein's a bit low with potatoes and rice. It's about 1%. So you might want to try eating more beans as well. If you're going to do it at Whole Foods, try to get more legumes in there, peas and chickpeas and beans and stuff like that. Soy, tofu, things like that, because like I said, the protein can be a little bit low with the rice and potatoes. And mobility exercises. When I do chest and lats, I also stretch out my chest and my lats against like in a door frame, and this is afterwards as well, because when you're warmed up, and I always feel my shoulders and my bicep chest area getting tight, and my lats, so I try to stretch those out. So there's a lot more other things that can be said, but I thought I would give you a basic idea of what I'm doing. So to summarize, it's a full body workout, roughly 3 times a week. Sometimes I take a little bit longer break in between, because if I'm really sore and tired. And they're compound movements, which means multiple muscles are involved, like a bench press, chin-ups, overhead press, squats, and things like that are the bulk of what I'm doing. So I'm pretty happy with how it's going right now, and being able to consistently maintain what you're doing, like continue with it, enjoy it, and not injure yourself is important. So I felt like some of the isolation exercises, and when I talked to an orthopedic surgeon, she said like the skull crushers and the triceps can really put a huge load on your elbows. So dips can also be problematic for people. So I'm going to try to stick with this, and I'll keep you guys posted, but hope you like that. Let me know if you have any questions. See you later.